are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakney.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Back at it again. Got another banger for y'all. Two dope interviews. We hitting the music scene, and we also hitting the sports craving as well. Got young up-and-coming artist Chris Meadows on to speak about up-and-coming rap scene in Greensboro, in North Carolina, and Charlotte as well. Dope interview, just diving into his music. A lot of Lil Uzi influence there, so we definitely rapped about that. His new album, Lil Uzi's new album. Good stuff, man, so y'all tune in. Also got Coach Rusty Larue on. He was a part of that 98 Bulls team, The Last Dance, so we got him talking about the experience, the team, and all that good stuff. So got some great insight as well on that. Before we dive into everything, man, I just want to take some time out. Shout out a couple prospects I did last week on the rundown. Just wanted to continue, man. A lot of kids are signing, and it's locally too. Start on the gridiron, man. Jared Wilson, Rah Dilworth, Wilson out of West Forsyth, lineman, and Rah Dilworth out of Glenn High School, linebacker. Might end up making that move to safety. Who knows? But honestly, one of the hardest hitters I've seen. This kid might be the hardest hitter in the triad. Real headhunter. Enjoy watching both of them play, and they come from both come from great programs. So that's definitely gonna be fun to watch. Wilson's a load, man. He had led one of the better offensive lines. He was a good reason why Jamoni Wilson had a lot of running room this year. So definitely excited. These kids have some big time offers. Dilworth actually decided between Bama and UNC. So, Mac out here keeping these guys in state. 2021 class, by the way, currently ranked number 2 in the nation, only behind Ohio State. Everybody on the list but one kid is from the hoop state, from North Carolina. So that's major, and we'll have more on that on the coming weeks as well. But that's major. Shout out to them Tar Heels. It was a good day for their basketball class as well in 2021, as Dontrez Styles signed as well. So that was major. Shouts out to him. Very, very good get. Very underrated. Without a doubt, the top kid in 2021 NC cycle. I don't even think it's a debate at this point. Also, I wanted to mention last week, I forgot, man. I really love what High Point is doing too. I think that they're gonna be very tough. They're recruiting local. Emil Flowers out of Grimsley High School, bucket getter, plays D, can play either backcourt position, play anywhere on the wing. He's tough, man. I like his game a lot. Really blew up and decided to go to High Point, so that's dope. They need scoring. They've got good young pieces, but you also add in Zach Austin as well. He's had a year to mature at Moravian, and he's looking exceptional. Shooting the ball well, moving well, running well. Eisenbar could be a really athletic, one of the more athletic front courts in the Big South. And then you also got to look at what they have coming back, John Michael Wright in the backcourt. So some stuff to build on, Coach Tubby. It was a rough year for them, but hey, we just couldn't chalk it up. They gotta, you gotta take some lumps. You gotta learn how to win before you do win. So I think they'll be fine, but definitely excited about that. I think those are honestly 2 solid additions that can contribute immediately. You bring back majority of the squad, got a young core to build around, still got guys on that team that can play, make plays, make shots. So we'll see. But I like the 2 signings. I like what Coach Tubby Smith is doing, going right into his back door right there at Grimsley, snagging one of the top scorers in the NC class, the senior class. Then you get Zach Austin, who just does a lot, brings versatility, and he can bring a lot that they need as far as on the glass and just being able to be versatile on defense. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm excited about it. But with no further ado, y'all know I've been trying to show more light with the music scene. So let's dive into this interview with my guy, Chris Meadows. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. We're back at it again. Got another banger. Got my guy, Chris Meadows, out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Artist, young up-and-coming rapper, artist, musician. Chris, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, I've been rapping for a while now. I produce and write as well, and I sing too. I've been at it for about 7 years total. I played pretty much because I'm from Charlotte, but the last few years I've been in Greensboro, so
Nice.
I played almost every venue in Charlotte. Like the Spectrum Arena, a club label before it got shut. Venue on like the South Side that got closed down recently. And a lot of neighborhood theater, a lot of spaces. I sold out of an event at Social Status. So, I've done a lot of that, released a couple projects on my own, done my own videos, do my own everything pretty much. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm with you there, man. You got to be the talent, editor, producer, all in one nowadays, bro.
Yeah. And it helps, creatively. I really have a lot of control on what I'm doing because it is all my vision at the end of the day.
So you said you've been at it 7 years now. What kind of got you into music, and who are some people that you were listening to get an influence and some inspiration from?
So when I first got into music, it was like music was always played in my house, like there was a lot of R&B, so like a lot of Babyface, like a lot of Brian McKnight, Motown, stuff like that.
Nice.
But I got into rap actually because when the New Boys put out You're a Jerk, I was like, yo, this song is tight. Like, bro, I could rap, and I was already a writer. Like, I had did poetry forever. So at that point, it was just like, why not? And then, like, my earliest inspirations, like, huge inspirations on me was, like, Joey Bad, Capital Steez, Childish Gambino, and, like, Drake. Like, those were, like, the rappers that really helped mold what I did. And then from there, like, I just kept listening and growing and then just adapting with the current sound, basically, and getting to where I am now. So that's kind of what helped me grow. Like, Thank Me Now by Drake is like a song I say really taught me how to rap, because like when I used to rap, I was like trying just to be mad lyrical, and it was like I was trying to fit every word into every single flow. And so basically that taught me how to slow down and just let like your words really work for you and just space things out. So that's what I attribute most of my especially my early influence into.
How would you compare the scenes being down in Charlotte? I know it's a little bit busier down there, but then making that jump to Greensboro. Have you felt like that you've worked to establish a fan base in both cities?
Yeah, for sure. Those are my two biggest listening areas for sure. And I would say I do prefer the Greensboro music scene a little bit more in terms of just the music scene. Prefer Greensboro. It's way more lit. Like, you got the house shows, venues that'll let you get in there at any time. Pretty much, there's a real art community in Greensboro. So I do love it there. Charlotte's great. It's just so spread out. Like, it's not really a area where everybody links and everybody.
How would you describe your sound, bro? Like, I've listened to a couple of your tracks, and definitely you have a unique sound about you that's different from a lot of North Carolina rappers who are kind of falling into like that stereotypical, 30 dudes in the video with 20 guns going around. Like, you don't really have that gun bar sound going on. Like, how would you describe your music for somebody that maybe had never?
I'd say it's it's cinematic in a sense. Like, it feels like something you would hear just playing in a movie. Very melodic and kind of atmospheric, like a lot of reverb and things like that. I'm very melody based. I think because like I mostly listen to R&B, so like melody to me is like very important. And so I try to keep that element in my music. And then like I talk about real life situations. Like, everything I'm talking about in these songs be like real. It's not just like I'm out here hyping a story up or making anything. It's not to be like I go like live life, then I come back and I like make songs, and that's kind of how the process is.
So what is it like being an up-and-coming rapper in today's game where it's really like social media driven, and it could really be like one video, 1 30-second clip that could just, change your life overnight?
It's fun. It's fun, but it's kind of difficult sometimes, you know, because
Mhm.
I get into a lot of places and I meet a lot of important people, and a lot of times they're like, you know, we love the music, like it's either money or you need followers, you know what I'm saying? So it's not even
True.
about. I'm to a point where it's not even about the music. It's just like I gotta just get like either money to get in places, or you know you gotta. It's always something like that, or you gotta get like a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And regardless, they don't really do artist development anymore. So you know, working on your craft can definitely propel you like when you get to the right place. But like sometimes it's not even about being good anymore. It's just about who you know.
That was like one of my next questions, because I get that too, man. Just being an entertainer, building a following. Do you feel like sometimes it's tough or a choice to stay true to yourself rather than fall into some gimmick just to get views?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Cause you know, I work with a lot of people and a lot of producers outside of myself too. And it's just like, you know, people always approach you, yo, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, like trying to
Yeah.
get you like into a certain lane. And it's like it doesn't always fit. But luckily, you know, I've had a team of guys around me, like Suburban Cam, he's out of Charlotte. And then the Beat Monopoly, they're out of High Point, and you know, they really get what I want to do. So they really help me work towards that. And that's kind of how I avoid falling into that.
Now, I feel like I've talked to other artists that I've had on my show, fortunate to have that reach where they speak on like collabing and how it's like a lot of artists around the triad really seems like they're more into like competing with each other than collabing. Like, do you feel like have you gotten that energy, or have you experienced like collabing with other artists?
Um, it's both, because you know, like there's like different levels of artistry. Like there's people who take it serious, and there's people who don't take it as serious. When it comes to people who don't take it as serious, I get calls and DMs all the time. You know, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this song? Can we do this? When it's people who are more serious, they're definitely more competitive. Like they'll hit me up to do things, and then I'll call them back, and it's like like they're it's just weird. Like that's why I like Greensboro though, because I ran into a bunch of great artists like Paragon Don. He's really tight, and you know we haven't made any music together, but we just chop it up all the time. Like he's actually a friend of mine. So same with Demeanor, another friend like that. These are two kind of prominent rappers out of Greensboro. That's pretty tough. My best friend Seven Bill, he's another rapper out of Greensboro, and we're all very tight. I send beats to Seven. Me and him send beats back and forth all the time. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So you know, you gotta just find the right people. Basically, it's just the mindset, because you're not competing at the end of the day. If we all linked up and did something, like I remember when I was in high school, it was a song called New Charlotte that went crazy, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like De Niro Ferrar. I think it was like
Yeah.
Bank. I don't remember the rest of them, but like you know, they all linked up and it went viral. And it's like, you know, people just not always on that time though. So
So, as far as like a sound perspective, have you modeled your sound after anybody, or have you taken parts of anybody else's music from a artist or a producer standpoint?
yeah, so production first. That would be kind of hard. I
Hmm.
listen to a lot of music. Like
Yeah,
um
yeah. Try me, bro. I'm a music head too, bro.
okay, so you know, I'm a big fan of this guy named Jeff Basker when it comes to production.
Okay.
He he produced on like, you remember the group Fun? Like they made Tonight We Are Young.
Oh yeah,
Um
yeah, 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 yeah.
So he produced for them, and then he produced My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy with Kanye.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
he's
that's
like,
dope.
he's mastered like this big, like larger than life sound, and it's
Hmm.
crazy because every record he touched has that, and I'm like, yo, like if I could bring that into like the more auto tune, like modern rap realm, I feel like it would be really crazy. So I
Yeah.
took like definitely took influence from that. Took influence from like the Uzi Juice World sound. And then like the Post Malone sound. Like Post Malone is one of my favorite artists right now.
Versatile,
Like
real versatile dude, man.
yeah, that's why I like him, because I listened to his album and it's like, yeah, he can do the hip hop stuff, but like he can step into other genres and really like make a good song as well. So like that's why I'm just like, wow, like that's really dope to hear and see. So you know, those are kind of like what I'm like what I definitely study like the business and marketing behind those people, like for sure. Cause, you know, that's half the game at this point. It's not even about the music
Facts.
anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like some of my influences. And then for, you know, like my melodies, like my top played artists are probably like Drake, Frank Ocean, Solange.
Okay. Solange. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, nah, I'm big into, let me see, Daniel Caesar, Thundercat,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like that. I'm just big into R&B right now. Rap hasn't been enough diversity for me to like constantly be in it. Like,
Yeah.
so, you know, but I still play Views a lot, still play Love is Rage 2, still play More Life, Thank Me Now, nothing, basically Drake's catalog, Kanye's catalog, Tory Lanez is dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah.
So I know while we had spoke about previously yesterday, you were saying she was a big fan of Love is Rage too. I've been a big Uzi fan for a while too. He kind of burst
Yeah.
on the scene when I was back in college down at Pembroke.
Okay.
What what did you think about his latest project, the Deluxe Paternal Tape?
It was cool. It was cool. You know, like the reason I love that project, Love is Rage 2 so much is because the production. Like I was like, yo, this production it was max. Like, you know, even songs that weren't like hard necessarily, like Malfunction, like the drums on Malfunction at the end. But like I heard that and I was like, okay, when I'm making beats, like whoever made that, like you got to figure out how to get in that pocket sometimes when you're like programming drums. So it's like, that's why I love that album. This album, it sounded a little different. It was cool. Like I played it. It was straight. Like it wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't bad. You know.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was his best project. What was a song or two that really stood out? I know Chief Keef, I found out later. I was really bobbing the Chrome Heart tags, and I found out later like Chief Keef had his handprints on that. Like, was there anything like that really stuck out to you about the album?
Yeah, I was about to say, Chrome Heart Tags was probably the main song. When he
Yeah.
dropped the deluxe, I had heard Myron a while ago, so like I was happy to finally hear that come out. And what was it, Kobe?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've been waiting on that. And then it's really sad because, you know, the time is like, it's just, you know, but those were probably like the three that I like was like, yeah, like those are the ones that I really rock with heavy.
With your sound, would you say that you could trans over to multiple genres? Like, are you trying to focus on one demographic? Because I noticed that you mentioned like the house shows, which I mean I've been to like I've seen Carnage and a couple people like that. So like I'm familiar. Like, are you trying to gauge that as well as like the rap game and R&B? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
definitely want to step into like the pop lane kind of. Because I actually do enjoy like pop music. Like,
Yeah,
because what people
same.
don't
It's
talk
a
about is
guilty
like,
pleasure, bro. You know, no cap.
yeah, like people don't talk about like our generation, like we grew up on, well, I know for me, like in my school, like it was really pop influence. Like we don't talk about it, but like people was definitely coming to school talking about Kesha, Katy
Yeah.
Perry, like
Jason
Leon Trees,
Derulo. Yeah.
Jason Derulo, like
Hmm.
what the Cooler Than Me song came out that was really big, like
Hmm.
poster. It's like, but you know, we don't talk about it. Like Black Eyed Peas had a huge album when I was probably in like 7th grade, 8th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
And so that's always been an influence, but like people just like they fell in love with rap, and since that was a part of me, that's kind of what I'm into and
Hmm.
what I just fell in love with personally. So that's something I want to kind of get into a little bit.
So what is your plans? And as far as like, because I noticed you had a couple albums, and that's a place where a lot of artists hadn't even got you yet to produce something like that. What is your process going into album making mode? And do you have any new projects on the horizon?
Um, so my process when I'm making music is it's changing right now. I linked up with Beat Monopoly and they really helped me because I'm a writer. Like I like to write and really think about every line. Even songs I have that sound simple, it's a lot of little things in there that like correlate and are important to the next part of the song. But recently, I've been working with Beat Monopoly and they've been getting me in just like stepping in the booth off the top. Like this, I'm about to release a EP called I Hate Quarantine.
Okay.
And
Me too.
yeah, it's all like nothing's been written down. It was just all off the top. And so that's a whole different process of recording, because now I have to just be able to tap into like my actual feeling in the moment, or however this beat makes me feel, and just go ahead and go with it, and still give a quality product. So that's the process for this. And I'm sorry, what was the second question you had asked me?
Oh, just asking if you had any projects on the horizon, which you mentioned. You actually answered both of them. Going into that process, is there anything you want to play us, man? Give us a little preview, a little snippet.
Yeah, I could play a snippet of 2 quick joints for you real quick, for real.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Here,
The
this
people
song's
need it.
yeah. This song is called The Ways, and it's actually it's gonna be the first song off the EP I'm dropping.
Okay, sweet.
We're sorry. You have a
too late. She was driving away. I was feeling away. No, she too far away. Feel like I gotta stay. Lose my mind every day. I'm shining the same. I got money tonight. Too late. She was driving away. I was feeling away. Now she too far away. Feel like I gotta stay. Lose my mind every day. I'm shining the same. I got money tonight. Long does it take? Feel like I'm McLovin with it. Look at my name, I'll keep my name. If she break my heart, call it the pain. Catch your vibe, baby girl, would you be mine? Like my eyes, can you see it off this time? Call you live, why you text me back on time? It was a fine, post it up like that page outside. It's like February. So that's a snippet of a joint called The Ways.
Okay.
And here's more of where I stepped into a kind of a different lane for me.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that joint at? This is, man, nah, I'm not gonna play y'all that one. I'm gonna go ahead and just run this one called it's an interlude on the project.
Okay. That beat is funky, bro.
Appreciate it. And that's like a snippet from an interlude I had on there.
Yo, that's smooth though. I like the beat, man. Like that, you got really like a sound that I feel like nobody's really emulating right now.
Appreciate that, for real. Appreciate that.
Facts, bro. Well, Chris, man, I know you're a busy guy. We ain't gonna hold you too much longer, man. Let them know wherever they can find your music on any platforms, social media, so we can continue to follow your journey.
Yeah, man. Chris Meadows on everything. And on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Meadows Official, and my website is also meadowsofficial.com. So, hey, man, I appreciate you having me on here, bro.
Hey, no doubt, bro. And you a student as well, right? You at A&T as well?
I took the last year off to do music full time, but
okay.
You know, if this Corona thing keeps going, man, I might as well just re-enroll online because all my shows got canceled. So
Thanks. Hey, it'll get back right, man. Everybody's got their own path, you know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate you. Keep us in the loop, man. Definitely have to follow up with you whenever this madness gets done. Maybe get some backstage passes to a show or something, you know
Oh
what I'm
yeah, for
saying?
sure. Anytime
So,
I'm doing an event, bro, just hit my line.
hey, I got you, bro, and I appreciate you joining us, man. And stay safe out there, man. For all the latest, y'all hit that subscribe button, you did? Welcome back. Hope y'all enjoyed it, man. Y'all definitely go follow, show some love, and all the artists out there, hit me up if you're interested in, coming on the show. Love to promote you, love to get some of your music on. And anybody that's looking to send some music in to get featured on a mixtape, hype film, hey, hit me up. I use all local artists' music, so definitely stay tuned. Now, the hottest thing in sports right now, I know the NBA draft, or excuse me, the NFL draft is today. I was a Panthers fan. I am no longer. I'm a free agent right now. There's some teams that I like to watch and some players, but after they did my man Cam, anyways, we're not even gonna go there. But definitely, we'll be watching the draft. And we had Coach Rusty Larue, who was a 3-sport star at Wake, played baseball, football, and basketball. So we picked his brain. He was on, like I previously mentioned, on the '98 team. The Last Dance outside of the draft is like the hottest ticket in sports right now. It's crazy. All the old heads, y'all stop blowing me up, man, asking me if LeBron's still the greatest, man. It's 2 episodes. Like, can we get through 8 more before y'all start with the shenanigans? Like, relax. But anyways, it's a dope documentary, and we spoke to somebody who was there to live it firsthand. And Coach Larue had a lot to say, man. It was just a dope. He was a rookie during that year, so he had a up front row experience getting on there, the team, and winning a championship on the Last Dance. So definitely, we'll chop it up with him. Y'all tune in. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. We're back at it again. Got a dope guest today, Coach Rusty Larue in the building. Coach, I appreciate you joining me today, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Crazy times, man. I know we're all just trying to stay sane right now.
I hear you.
So I know that you're deeply embedded in basketball around the community, especially the Triad, well known for decades now. I just wanted to really just speak to you. I know you've played professionally, college as well, locally, and in the NBA. And with the hottest thing in sports right now being The Last Dance that's going on right now, have you had a chance to check it out, Eddie?
I did, yeah. I got to sit down and watch it. I watched it with my son Maverick, my daughter, and my wife. It was cool. It's good to relive those memories. And my kids really, kind of knew, had always heard about it. The Bulls, but I think kind of has a little bit more meaning, I guess, them seeing all the hoopla that's surrounding it and kind of what a big deal it was.
Oh, definitely. Do you think that they're doing it justice? Like you guys walking around like the Beatles out there.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I mean, it was one of those times where I was a rookie, so they kept telling me that whole rookie year, Rusty, it's not like this anywhere else. This isn't normal. So and I remember going to Paris and just the reception we got over there, and it was pretty crazy. And obviously that team, we kind of knew it was the last time we were together. I didn't, as being someone who was new and a rookie, I didn't know all the history and everything that went on. I was just trying to keep my head down and make jump shots. That's all.
Hey, I'm sure with Jordan out there, man, you guys had some good looks. As far as like looking at the documentary, reflecting on it, and like you said, being your first year, like I know you played some minor league before that. I was reading, did a little research. I like to do my homework. How did you get to that point? Like, take us through the year prior and then leading up to getting to 1998 with the Bulls and that championship.
Yeah, so my senior year at Wake, we went to the Elite Eight, so we had a really good year. Obviously, won the ACC championship, and I had some football teams talking to me, and I kind of dabbled with that a little bit and thought I might get drafted or get invited to camp, and I didn't get invited to camp by anybody. So at that point, I just kind of settled on basketball, got invited to Portsmouth Invitational. And you remember Big House Gaines, who coached at Winston State. His son, Clarence Gaines, was a scout for the Bulls.
Okay.
And so being from Winston, he had seen me play quite a bit at Wake. And then they invited me to Summer League. out of Portsmouth. And so that was the 1 year. I don't know if you remember, they experimented with the shorter NBA line 1 year.
Yeah.
Shorter NBA 3-point line. So that was that year. And I shot like 64% from three or something crazy for the summer, and had a really good summer with them. So they actually invited me to camp my first year out of school. And I went to camp with them, and literally I was in Chicago. The day before camp started, I got a job offer for a month in Paris, and it was good money. And they had already pretty much told me, you're not going to make the team. We'll just bring you in, give you some experience, let you do camp. So they recommended I take it. So I took a job in Paris for a month and was with JRE playing for PSG. And then when that ended, I had some offers overseas, and, I was 22 years old and wife and kid. And I was like, man, I got to get home. I had seen every episode of my apartment only had Cartoon Network and CNN. There's only two channels I got.
Complete opposites there.
Yeah. So I had seen every episode of Scooby-Doo you can imagine. And so I was ready to come home, man. Being overseas is not easy. A lot of players make great careers over there, but it can be tough. It can be tough. It's you don't have a support network you have at home. So I came home, and it would have been, I guess it was at that time, it would have been probably mid-October, late October, and all the NBA teams obviously are already done. All the CBA teams are already done, have already got their roster. So I sat around for November and December, trying to find a job. And come January, I didn't have anywhere to play. So I actually went down to Charlotte, interviewed with Anderson Consulting. Actually went and watched the Knicks play the Hornets that night. Charlie Ward got me tickets. And I was going to take a job, and I was done with basketball. I actually had already talked to Clarence Gaines and told him that, I was probably going to move on. And that night, that Friday night after I had interviewed, I hadn't quite accepted the job yet. I got a phone call from the Connecticut Pride in the CBA and got on the plane the next morning. And I spent the second half of that season in Connecticut, got invited back to camp with Chicago the next year, and then ended up making the team. I got actually cut at the end of camp and then got called back up 2 weeks later and made that team. So it was kind of a long journey. It was really close to my career being over before it even started.
Yeah, I know coming in as undrafted, man, you're coming in with a chip on your shoulder, scrappy. Like, what was the environment at camp and practice like coming into, like you said, a championship situation as a rookie?
Yeah, that team, being such a veteran team, obviously even guys like Kukoc and Longley and all those guys were older, Ron Harper, Scottie Pippen. So there was really no grind. Practices were obviously very competitive, but we did 1-to-1 practice a day. We would come in, get our weights in, do one practice a day. And, me and Keith Booth, the other rookie, we were like chomping at the bit. So we had to come back. We usually came back every night for a second workout just because, that team was kind of established pros. We're basically trying to kind of use camp to get themselves in shape and get ready. They knew it was a long season, and it wasn't like Phil had us killing each other the first few weeks of camp because he knew it was going to be a long year. Scotty, as you know from the show, was out with a foot injury.
Yeah.
It was really just for me as a rookie. I got to learn how to be a pro with some really good pros. Watching those guys just for their preparation and how they took care of their bodies and all the stuff that goes along with obviously being a good player that takes place at the pro level.
I know you guys were at a point where, like, it was win or bust. They're coming back as defending champions. Did y'all feel – like, how do you think y'all dealt with that pressure? Like, it seemed like it was real intense. And then with the front office stuff going on that we're seeing, too, that was happening, I guess, behind the scenes, like, was that added pressure for y'all to go out there and win that thing?
I didn't really feel like it was. I think that group, with Michael being the leader was, the pressure wasn't that big of a deal. They expected it of themselves, I joined the team actually from the first documentary, the shot they showed of the Phoenix game where the gorilla dunked the bull into the rim. Yeah. That was my first game as a pro. I got called up right before that West Coast road trip. And so that was the first game I got to play in was that game. And then the double overtime loss we had at the Clippers, I played in that one quite a bit. So I kind of got caught up right during that stretch when they were struggling with Steve out and Scotty out. And so it was pretty intense. Obviously you could tell they were used to winning. And so when you're losing and you're used to winning, nobody's happy, and winning cures everything.
You never lie. You did not lie there, man. So I know like a lot of people. I've seen a lot of the older guys that were growing up or playing in the '90s have really given like a lot of the younger generation a lot of hell because it's always that debate LeBron versus Jordan. Now I feel like the 20 somethings are getting to see that Jordan effect. Like what was the Jordan effect like with you guys traveling?
Yeah, it was crazy because we would go into like DC on a Wednesday night. You know, we played a game that night, got on the plane, we'd get in at like 1:30 in the morning, and there'd be 200 people at the hotel, you know, just in the middle of the night, parents with kids, trying to get an autograph, you know, of Michael. And so it was just a different deal. Obviously, you know, you were kind of on top of the world. You were the, you know, the best in the world. And it was kind of a surreal experience. I think as a rookie, not having been on any other teams, and obviously I've been in some big environments with the ACC. You play against great players. You play in some incredible environments. But so I don't know that not to say it didn't mean as much, but, you know, I think if I had probably was toward the end of my career, I might have appreciated it a little bit more or soaked it in a little bit more. I don't know what the word is. You know, when you're young,
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, you think it's going to last forever. And you're, you know, and for me, you know, I wasn't scared of the opportunity. I went in and did my thing and busted my butt and, you know, made an opportunity for myself.
Do you think it helped you at just being a college player? Like, you know, a lot of kids are coming out early now. You think staying multiple years and also just having your life together off the court, being married, having a kid, you think that helped you stay grounded, being so like young in the league? You know, it seemed like you were carrying yourself as a veteran already, though, in a way.
I mean, for sure, because, you know, I didn't average double figures till my senior year of college. You know, I did play football, and that always kind of hindered my basketball. But most guys need that time to mature and to play. And I don't think what a lot of these young guys realize, man, it's a different world when you get to be a pro. They hold your hand through college because they got money invested in you. But unless you're a draft pick and you got a guaranteed contract, you're on your own. You know, you got to figure it out. There's nobody holding your hand. You either make shots or you go home. You know, and so, you know, I was kind of used to that pressure, again, playing in a big environment in the ACC and, you know, having that time in college, that 4 years to grow and get mature and obviously taking care of everything off the court to make sure that I didn't have any distractions is part of what being a professional is all about. And I've seen a lot of good players through my career in the NBA and even in the CBA and overseas, guys that had plenty enough talent to be playing in the league.
Yeah.
You know, but for some reason or not, whether it was attitude or opportunity or, you know, wasn't really willing to change the way they play or to alter who they are to make it work, you know, they ended up having careers outside the NBA.
Now, you were also a part of the rebuild temporarily the next year after all those guys had got gone. What was the culture like that next year, and what was the energy like in the locker room?
It was tough. You know, I mean, we obviously had a new coach and a lot of new players, and the NBA is not an easy league, so nobody takes it easy. You know, so we took our lumps, and that's hard when you come from a winning program like Wake, where I was used to winning, and you know, again, you play. I've been blessed to be able to win at every level, even when I was overseas. You know, I played for CSKA, who played in the Final Four, and I won a D-League championship when I was in Asheville. And so, you know, anytime you're on losing teams, it's hard. And in an organization like that too, with the history they had and kind of what we were coming off of, it can be difficult. And there were a lot of tough times. That was the lockout year too, so it wasn't short season. And so it was kind of an abbreviated season at that too. So.
Now, you mentioned about speaking or playing overseas. Excuse me. I actually interviewed Rayshawn Terry a few weeks ago, and he was telling me about that too. How do you feel that the game has grown since y'all first made that trip to Paris overseas compared to now, like the impact that the game has had and how it spread?
I mean, just look at who won the awards in the NBA last year. I mean, just about all of them were foreign guys. You know, MVP, best defensive player, Luke, you know, Doncic, rookie of the year, probably. You know, all that stuff. So not to say they've caught up to us, but I think the popularity of the game over there, I won't say they're a little bit behind us, but they're behind us in that they focus more on skills there, and I think they focus a lot more on being well-rounded. I think whether it's for whatever reason the case may be, maybe it's their system, the way it's set up with, no high school teams, everything's a club team. The pro teams develop them from a young age. Luka Doncic was a pro when he was 14 or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You learn some of that pro stuff at an earlier age, and it's not just about how athletic you are and all that stuff. So it's but definitely I think right now the foreign game is I won't say it's caught up to the US, because person to person there's way more good players in the States than anywhere else. I mean, but I think you're seeing that that foreign countries are putting out as good of players as anybody else can.
True. Very true. Like you said, it's really a skill versus athleticism thing a lot of the times nowadays. And
you also look at Europe as about the size of the U.S. So we talk about players. I mean, you take collectively Europe and all the players that come out of all those countries, and what if you allowed them with the population we have versus them? If you allowed them to do a European All-Star team of all their guys with the same, I guarantee it'd be a pretty competitive team against the U.S. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know I wanted to refer earlier. You had mentioned you had flirted a little bit with some professional football. It's only right. It's draft day today. I'm sure you'll be watching. Take us through that process, like being a prospect, working out, trying to field these NFL teams, because they're as a quarterback, they're testing your mind just as much as your athletic ability.
Yeah, because we went to the Elite Eight, I didn't get to do any of the combine stuff.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we didn't win a whole lot of games when I was a quarterback, but I did break some records. So I got some calls that had the Saints, the Panthers, the Bengals, the 49ers all called me. I didn't even get an agent, actually, because, I kind of was leaning towards basketball anyway. If you can get paid to shoot jump shots instead of get hit by 300-pound guys, that's a pretty easy choice. So I really thought the Panthers were going to invite me to camp. And I thought I'd get their fourth quarterback invite. And I thought, you know what, if I can get my foot in the door. And I had told their coaches and said, if you invite me to camp, I'll be there. Because, I was coming off the heels of Charlie Ward too. And so a lot of the football guys were like, we don't want to draft you. And then you go play, waste a draft pick. And then you go play basketball. And so, I had kind of settled on if the Panthers invited me to camp, I was going to go because, obviously I didn't have a lot of NBA, or I wasn't going to get drafted in the NBA. I didn't have, it's kind of fighting and clawing to have a career there. And I thought if I could get foot in the door, but that draft day came and went. When I called them back after draft day, they had filled their spots. So I kind of moved on at that point.
How, I'm trying to think how to ask this. How would you describe your game on the field? Like if somebody that hadn't seen you play football, because I know you're synonymous with hoops.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I like to think I'm a cerebral quarterback. I mean, a lot like I was in basketball, high IQ, and I usually know all the options and know all the plays and know, all my reads. And, I wouldn't say I'm an elite physical specimen from a quarterback perspective. More of an accuracy thing than a power thing with football. And, I always just, felt like I was blessed with having a good touch, throwing a really catchable ball and good timing and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times as a quarterback, knowing the right read and getting the ball out on time and all those kind of things are sometimes more important than having cannon arm and being, 6'6".
Any draft picks you watching out for? You watching out for the Panthers today?
Yeah, I don't follow it a whole lot. I'll probably watch it to see if any white guys get drafted. I think it's a pretty cool deal. I never got drafted in any sport, football, basketball, or baseball. The only time I've ever been drafted was in the CBA expansion draft. I got drafted second to last. So, but it's fun to watch because, those guys are getting a chance. As an athlete, you just know the amount of time and energy and prep went into them getting to achieve, their goal and dreams. And so it's pretty fun to watch.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Coach, I won't hold you too much longer, man. I definitely appreciate you, though, taking the time, crazy times, to sit down with me for a minute. And definitely let them know where they can find you at on social media as well so they can follow you.
Yeah, so I am, I've got on Twitter at Rusty_Larue, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook, all that good stuff, and obviously working with Dario now, so I'm out and about. We're still working in the during these times, trying to take care of customers and keep people employed. So hoping the governor today at 3:00 will open it back up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. And they got to come try the wings and the ice cream, man. It's no joke over
Hey, man,
there.
that homemade wing sauce is hitting, and it's good stuff.
I got to tell them I know the big man next time I go. Get me a free meal.
They've been instructed if anybody throws my name around to charge them double. So you better
Oh,
not do
man.
that.
Let me So, Coach, I appreciate you again, man. I'll make sure to tag you and everything and let you
Sounds
know
good.
what goes up. All right, you
All right,
guys
man.
be safe.
All right, Brandon. Take care, man.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed it. That's it for us, man. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping more videos next week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. Y'all keep showing love. I appreciate it. For all the latest and the greatest, y'all hit that subscribe button. Live with Brandon Blakney. You did?